I'm Rob Kircher, and welcome to our 1905 cottage restoration. It's an ongoing series of episodes with my wife Barbara and I restoring this newly purchased diamond in the rough behind me. Now, call us crazy, and we probably are, but we believe that we can turn it into an absolute showstopper. However, we also know there are many inherent problems. There are plumbing problems, electrical problems, insulation problems, and a myriad of other problems still hidden within her walls. And trust me, folks, they're there. So stay with us as we spend time, money, and effort in transforming this beauty into an incredible restoration. Coming up in episode 9, I'll be cutting our butcher block countertops in the snow. Next, I'll be gluing and installing them in our newly transformed laundry pantry room. And then when the snow melts, I'll be repurposing our old louver bifold doors. Now, my wife Barbara will be busy giving our dining room furniture a new color and upholstering its chairs. All that and more will be coming your way, and as always, please subscribe, like, share, and comment, and folks, it is greatly appreciated. Well, as you can tell, it's been snowing, and we probably have acquired, I would guess, about 8 inches of snow within the last 3 or 4 hours. And I wanted to give you a sense for where we are at the moment. What you're looking at is the back of our car, and the hatch is open, and my tools are in there. And the forefront is the butcher block countertop that I'm going to be installing this morning. And I just have a throw covering it up at the moment to keep the snow off, and I'm going to have to rip it to length, and then we'll go from there. But stay with us because you're going to see how we're going to operate in the snow. The first thing, of course, is to get the throw off and the snow, so this should be relatively easy. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is our butcher block. It's 36 inches wide, 6 feet long. The countertops that we have inside are 18 inches and 16 inches. There's 2 different sections. So to make life easier, I'm going to rip this 18 inches. Then I'll have 2 pieces, and then we can cut the smaller piece out of that. So, well, like I said, the snow is coming, as you can see, so I don't have time to clamp this thing, so I'm just going to go freehand, and I'm actually pretty good at it. So I'm going to get rid of the snow that we've got. Here we go. There we go. Folks, I made it, and just in time, because the sky is getting very black over there. I cut it for length, and this is the other piece that we have to do the other countertop. So I think we're in good shape, and stay with us because this is a snowy adventure. Okay, folks, what I'm going to do is take this one piece, slide it in the back of my car here, get it out of the way so I can then do that cross cut. And life is good because the snow is sort of slowed down for a while here. So I'm just going to slide this in. It's heavy. There we go. Now I'm going to move this over. Okay, now we're going to cut the board for length, and just to double check, it's got to be 49 1/4, which it is. Okay, I put tape on here because when you do a cross cut, you run the risk of it splintering, and you don't want to do that, so the tape will minimize that to a certain degree. All right, so I'm going to take my circular saw and do one more cut. I'm going to do it freehand. There we go, gang. I think we're good. Okay, now what I'm doing is cutting the butcher block to length. And this is a small section that's going to be part of the L shape of that first part. And this board is going to be a standalone countertop in the other part of the pantry. So I'm going to cut this for length, and then we'll cut the other one. So that's one. Okay, here we go. Well, it's about 2:30 in the morning and I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd come back into the pantry and get our new butcher block countertop in place. And it's been glued up with biscuits, and it's had 24 hours to dry, so it should be ready to go. So I'm going to take my Bessie clamps off and then put some liquid nail down, and we're going to probably have to shim it in a corner to make it nice and level, and then put it in place and then run a bead of clear caulking around the edge. So that's the plan. Okay, I put a shim in this far corner because it was a little uneven, and I think that solved the problem. And let's just see, perfectly level and perfectly level. So we're good to go. Okay, so I ran a bead all the way around the edge of the countertop and put it in place. So now I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning, again it's early, and then run a bead of clear caulking around the edge and we'll be good. So right now it's going nowhere, it's very solid, and I think my wife will be very happy. Now I'm going to do the small little countertop. So you don't need any clamps, any nails, any screws. This construction adhesive is plenty strong enough to hold it in place, and the sheer weight of the butcher block is so heavy that frankly it's not going to go anywhere. Oh my God, life is good. I'm at the point now where I'm going to be putting in my biscuits, and as I mentioned, I'm taking two bifold doors and I'm going to be marrying them together and make one solid door out of it. Now anytime you do that, you got to make sure your doors are perfectly aligned, especially when you're using a biscuit cutter and biscuits. So what I've done is I've taken my framing square and I've gone along, I've lined the two doors up and drew lines about every 6 to 8 inches, something like that. To me, more is better, particularly when you're bonding two surfaces together, in this case two bifolds, to make one solid panel door. So the thing with the biscuit cutter, and this is probably one of my favorite tools, is it's a wonderful thing. If I can get this thing around it, there's a little dot here, red dot, and you want to line it up perfectly with each one of these lines, and you're going to start it and you're going to push it, and when it does, it makes a little groove in the edge of these doors. And then what you do is you're going to put some glue in there, but you take one of these biscuits and you slide it in that groove. And they call them biscuits because it kind of looks like a biscuit. And what happens when you put them in there with the glue and you clamp it, this will start to swell as it dries, and that'll really give you a very tight bond. And make my first biscuit cut. And go right down the line. second one, third, and so forth. If you can see that, you see the groove it makes? Alright, that's perfect for putting our biscuits in. So I'm going to continue this on both sides of these doors. So now I put the two bifolds together. Here's my grooves, if you can see them. Perhaps not, but now I'm going to start putting some glue in here. And I put the glue not only in the groove itself, but also along the entire side. So a lot of glue. And again, from my perspective, the more glue the better. And what happens is that the glue, once it's clamped, it actually swells the biscuit in the drying process, and it really bonds extremely tight. Now these are probably one of my second favorite tools. They're just basically clamps, but they're called Bessie clamps. That's the manufacturer. I've had them forever and I love them. So basically what you do is you just kind of put them in place for temporarily. I'm going to put 4 along the line here. Okay, so tighten the first one up, and you can, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the glue is starting to ooze out. Now I'm going to super tighten them by hand and make sure they have a nice bond, which they do. Okay, now I'm going to get a wet sponge and just wipe off the excess glue. I think I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the second set of bifold doors to make them one solid panel door. Okay, I've got them glued up, clamped, and got all the glue washed off, both of them, and I put little C-clamps at both ends just to square the tables up in case there's any kind of a curvature in it, which I don't think there is. It's the next morning, and as you can see, I've taken my Bessie clamps off one of the doors, and I'm about to take the other ones off. And remember from yesterday's project, I used my biscuit cutter to marry these two bifolds together to make one door, and so these are going to slide in the opening that we have in the pantry. So the next thing is to put my Bessie clamps back in my workshop and do a final sanding and get rid of the rest of the glue, and then we're going to stain them and then we're going to hang them up. What I've done is I've sanded both sides of these panel doors with a 60 grit sandpaper using my palm sander, and now I'm going over with a 220 grit just to give it a nice smooth finish. And I'll tell you what, I changed my mind in terms of the stain that I was going to use. Now I've used about every conceivable stain around. I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like the stain that's mixed with polyurethane. It's like a one coat. It just, to me, it's an inferior product, and I just don't use it. The old standard has always been for me is to put the stain down and then put the polyurethane on top of it. Now in this case, I'm going to use gel. If you haven't used gel before, I highly recommend it because it's just a fabulous product. It pretty much covers anything and everything when it comes to this kind of application. And it's just a very solid color. It just looks fabulous. So highly recommend it. So that's what I'm going to be putting down. I'm putting down a cherry gel, which is going to look a lot like this. And so that's the next step. So right now I've got to finish my 220, and when that's done I'm going to apply the gel. So I hope you stick around and watch how I do that. Well, unfortunately I was not able to record my applying the gel stain to these louver doors. The problem was that all of a sudden the sky just opened up and it was raining buckets. I mean, cats and dogs. So all I could do was hustle it in undercover and hope that it didn't do any harm to it, and it didn't, as you can see. And also, as you can see, it matches the trim beautifully. Well, I went ahead and put the hardware on this door as I did this, and it's an easy install. As you can see, it's just rollers. The trick is to bring it out and tuck it in under there, like so, and catch the track, like that. How easy and effortlessly that slides, which is beautiful. Okay, the next thing is I've got a header strip that I'm going to nail here. It's stained exactly the same way, and that's going to hide that track. All you're going to see is just this really nice header board. Okay, I got the header in, and I put some brads at that end, and I'm going to put a few more here. Then I'm going to put some brads along the top here, just to hold it in place. And the door slides beautifully without any interference. So things are looking good so far. Now I've already installed the quarter round at that end, and I'm going to put one here. And this just kind of dresses up the corners and makes things look a whole lot more finished, if you will. It's time to have a glass of wine and have Barbara pat me on the back. My wife Barbara is multi-talented. First of all, she is an incredible gourmet cook, but she's also an interior decorator, and you'll see she's also a colorist. Now, I've mentioned that a number of times before, and she just has a way with color, and people will ask her to choose colors for their house and for various rooms and so on, and she's did it again for us right now. There are 6 chairs that are part of the dining room set. They're original to the home. In fact, many furnishings were left in the house when we purchased it, and these, to our delight, are one of them. We have an amazing dining room table and a cabinet that Barbara is working on right now that we're using for our liquor cabinet, and we had some other pieces too that were part of it, but really outstanding furniture, very sturdy, and we're very pleased with them. So Barbara is going to do give it a different color. So the table is going to remain in its original oak stain, if you will, but these are going to be kind of a blue-gray. This is just the primer. It's not the color that the finished chairs will be. We're now in the dining room, and this is the cabinet I was mentioning, and I don't know if you can see Barbara, but she's actually sitting on the floor in the corner, painting the legs of the cabinet. This is going to be the final color. It only has one coat of the final paint on it, and she's going to do 2 coats. Okay, so this is a better view of Barbara on the floor, and she is just working her way around the bottom of the cabinet. To the right, what she's painting now is the final color, and to the left is the primer. And again, there's going to be 2 coats. Now that void in the middle is a very heavy drawer that I need to do some repair work on it. It has to have a couple of stops, so when you pull it out, it doesn't end up on your feet, but also it doesn't come out squarely. So I have to put a couple of rails in there for it to ride smoothly. So I'm going to turn around, Barbara, and say hi. Hi. This is their dining room, and you'll notice that Barbara did a beautiful job in painting the dining room chairs as well as the cabinet in the background. That's where we keep our wine and spirits and so on. And you'll also notice that she kept the table in its original stain, so only painted the chairs and the cabinet, which I think is a very nice combination. Now, she also upholstered the chairs, and I'm going to give you, Barbara went to a fabric store and found this outstanding fabric that couldn't be better in terms of matching the color of the chair as well as just the overall feel of the room, and absolutely amazing. So she upholstered these herself. She cut the fabric out and stapled the foam to the chair and then worked the fabric around it and so on. Here's another view of the chairs and her wonderful upholstery. And again, notice that she left the dining room table in its original stain. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Now, coming up in episode 10, I'll be insulating the restored shed. Then I'll be cutting paneling for its walls during a heavy downpour. And folks, it was raining cats and dogs. And finally, I'll be applying a special paint to its walls. Now next, Barb and I will be upstairs where she picked out a very cool wallpaper for the bathroom, and I'll be hanging it. All that and more is coming your way, so stay where you are. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment. And folks, as always, it is most appreciated. Thank you so much.